You can move back over. Okay, we're starting. It is Thursday morning for 10:30 Gentle Yoga, so let me know if you can hear me. I've got microphone hooked up. See if anybody's out there, but everybody else start to get comfortable. Let yourself, if you need to, grab blankets to sit on. Same thing at home. Sit on blankets if it feels good. Let me know that you can hear me. If there's anybody out there watching, please watch for a second more as we start to settle in. So, you're welcome to stretch your legs long, or you're welcome to sit cross-legged if that's okay for your hips, but be comfortable. And close your eyes. And those of you at home, again, let me know if you're having some trouble. I hope you can hear me now. Please say yes if you can, if anybody's out there. So close your eyes and start to feel your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Accepting your breaths easily in and out. Letting your shoulders melt down. And just accepting the breath in and out. See if you can let your belly expand a little bit as you breathe in. If you're comfortable to come into those three parts of your breath, inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, and all the way up into your chest. And let your face relax. Let yourself start to feel that length upward through the top of your head. And then we'll release our arms on out beside us here now. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let yourself inhale your hands forward. Flex your hands for a minute. Let the fingertips face upward. Feel that sense of pressing gently into the heels of your hands. And then rotate the other way so the fingertips face down. And you're still gently pressing into the heels of the hands here. Good. And then turn to let the palms face each other. I'm going to look and make sure somebody can hear me in here. Let me know if you can't hear me, please. Well, no. Let me know if you can hear me. And then turn your hands away from each other. Let your thumbs face down, your pinkies face up, so that you allow yourself to face the palms away from each other. Try not to roll your shoulders forward. Kind of draw your chest a little bit forward. And then send your right wrist on top of your left and clasp your hands together. Let your shoulders melt down here now. And then lower your hands. Now, you may just go a little bit. You may want to look at your hands. Let your neck release here. And some of you may want to send your hands all the way down and then up and through that hole you've created so you can bring your forehead down to rest on your hands there. And if that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Right? Let yourself release where you can here. And breathe. Good. Okay, somebody tells me they can hear me. Thank you very much, but I just came on. Okay? And then from here, let your hands come on back down and through and send them on back forward. Feel your palms together there. Let yourself release your shoulders down. And then we're going to switch and bring the other hand on top. So clasping your hands there, send your palms together. Let yourself release. Hands come on down. Again, you can look down. You can bring your hands up and through if it's okay for you. You can even rest your forehead there so that you let right between your eyebrows there, just gently touch your hands and release your head into your hands a little bit. And then we'll send the hands on back down and through and forward, right out from the chest. Really squeeze the palms a little towards each other. And then release your arms on straight out beside you, straight out from your shoulders. Turn your palms up. Bend your elbows and let your fingertips touch the tops of your shoulders. And now, as you inhale, bring your elbows forward and up. And as you start to circle them behind you, let your exhale bring your elbows down. So again, we're going to inhale the elbows forward and up and around, and exhale as they come back down the back. And then one more time, inhaling forward, letting yourself come up and around, exhaling as they come down. And we're going to reverse. So inhale when the elbows come back, and exhale as they come forward and back down again. So inhaling, letting the elbows come back and up, and exhale as they come forward. And then one more time, inhaling as they come back and up, and exhaling as they come forward there. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. Move through your wrists a little bit. Come on in. Come on in. Move through. You're fine. Circle through your hands a little bit. Shake out a little bit. Good. And now, if you're on the floor, stretch your legs out long. And if you're in a chair, you can keep your knees bent. We're all just going to come forward a little bit just to wake up the backs of the legs. You don't need to do a huge forward bend. Just let yourself feel pretty good about opening up through the backs of the legs. So if you are in your chair, kind of straighten your legs out a little bit. So they don't have to come all the way straight, but you're coming forward to open up the backs of the legs a little bit. And breathe. Let yourself just release there. And now, coming on back, if you were cross-legged, switch the leg that was in front, okay, so that you even out your hips. And then everybody else in your chair, bring your feet underneath you and keep your legs long if you want. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. So bring your left hand behind you. Right hand can come to your left knee. Let yourself look wherever feels good, maybe even a little more behind you, depending on how your neck feels. Feel that length upward, the twist in the middle of the back. Right sitting bone drawing down towards the surface you're on. One more inhale. And as you exhale, turn your head to the right, like you're looking back over your right shoulder. And let yourself just release here. Feel, again, both sitting bones into the surface you're sitting on. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come back to center with everything. Shoulders, head comes back to front. Inhaling here at center. And on the exhale, we're going to twist the other way. Right hand comes behind us. Arm down the back of the chair or fingertips on the floor. And if you want to look back a little bit, you can. That is up to you. Just be mindful. One more breath. And now as you exhale, turn your head, just your head. So you're still in the twist, but you're turning to look back over your left shoulder a little bit. Just letting yourself feel really open across your chest here. Good. One more inhale. And as you exhale, use your belly to bring everything on back around into center, arms out beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And we're going to come into a forward bend again. If you're in your chair, keep your knees bent this time and come forward. If you're on the floor, you can stay cross-legged if you can. If not, stretch your legs out if you need to. You know that. Take your time. Just let it be easy. Let it feel good. Come forward from the low back, so you're trying not to just round your shoulders forward. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on up, bring ourselves on around. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. So be mindful as you come on around. Use a blanket if you need for underneath your knees. Let yourself get set up with your hands underneath your shoulders. You're welcome. Grab a blanket if you need it too. And, you know, whether you're on your feet or your knees, be mindful of being okay there. And then start to move through your back. Let your exhales draw you up into your cat pose. And your inhales, send your tailbone back and up as you move through to your cow. So remember, it is your spine, obviously. You know what feels really good to you. Some days are different than others, aren't they? So let yourself just be aware of how you feel. If you need to stay in cat or cow for a breath or two, do. So it feels really easy, that flowing through the spine. It feels good. It's like you're waking up your entire spine. And then finish off the one you're on. And come on back to more neutral spine here. And let's step our right foot back and come into lunge. So, whether you have your hands up on the seat of the chair, or maybe you want to use blocks under your hands so that you're a little bit lower. You can use highest height of the blocks or middle or the lowest. You can use the back of the chair or the seat of a chair. You can use your kitchen counter at home, right? So just be mindful. Coming into that lunge, really take your time. Feel the inner right heel reaching directly behind you. Press the feet gently away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. And now we're going to switch and go to the other leg. So take your time. However you want to switch, you know that. Taking your time to get that alignment. Remember, it's like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. You don't want to line your feet up like you're on a tightrope. You want to get easy in your hips. Press the feet away from each other. Feel how your belly engages. Reach into that inner left heel back there. And then we'll switch again. So this time, as you press into the feet and press them away from each other, if you feel like bringing your left hand up right there above your knee onto your thigh, or maybe you want to put your forearm on your thigh, do. You can bring both hands up if you want. If it feels good to lift both hands up, come fully into your legs, you can do that by hands on the thigh or your forearm on the thigh. And then we're going to switch and go to the other leg. So again, once you come into that left foot back, if you feel like bringing that right hand up, keeping your left hand down, or maybe you want to think of bringing both hands on up, or putting your forearm there on your thigh. Be mindful of what feels good for you, and then bring your hand on back down, hands down. We're going to step forward. Come into standing forward bend here now. Check out your feet. Look at them. Lift your toes up for a second. See if you can, just for a second, spread the toes out. Let yourself feel space between your toes as they're lifted up. And then think of your base of your big toe mound and the base of your little toe mound into the floor equally. Arches lifting up. And then let your toes slowly release. And try not to grip the floor with your toes. Let them feel nice and relaxed. And come into your forward bend where you're comfortable to be. You know you can put your hands or your forearms on your chair. You can use your blocks. You can bring your hands down farther towards the ground. Just enjoy letting the backs of the legs here open up. Let your head maybe turn side to side to let a little more release happen there in your neck. Let your jaw relax here. So if it helps you to open your mouth a little bit, kind of let yourself wiggle around a little bit and let that jaw go do. One more nice full deep breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Finding your mountain pose here now. So take your time. If you need to adjust your feet, do. You can look at them. Letting yourself bring the hands gently to meet there in front of you. Right plugging in with your thumbs towards your breastbone. And how high or low you actually come in with your hands is totally up to you. Feel the hands just gently press together. Feel your feet gently pressing down like you're pushing the floor away from you with your feet. Let your shoulders feel nice and wide and open. And then we'll unfold our arms down beside us. We're going to inhale just the right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then come over into a side stretch. Let yourself release. Actually, put your left palm in towards the outside of your left leg. Feel that hand connecting into the outside of your leg there as you just breathe into the right ribs here. And then we'll rise up, and we're going to inhale the left arm up as the right arm comes down. And then again, let the right hand slide down, but feel the hand gently pressing into the outside of your right leg. Feel your left foot reaching down into the ground as you breathe into the left ribs. And then we'll rise up, bringing both arms up overhead. Turn your palms towards each other. Let your shoulders melt down. If you want to look up, you can as you inhale. And on the exhale, we'll bend the knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a flat back, whether your hands come up to your shins or to your blocks or to your chair. Doesn't matter. Find that flat back. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. Press the feet away from each other. Draw your shoulders down. Inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Whether you use a chair or you use the blocks or you use the floor. You know, you've got to find in your own shoulders. So as you come into dog, and dog might develop, right? Sometimes getting your ears between your upper arms isn't possible. So don't force anything. Let your shoulders feel good as you hug your elbows in towards each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank. So take your time. Release on forward. Really let yourself enjoy feeling that strength of the core of the body here. Zip up the low belly. You can bend your elbows if you want. Do a little push-up. And then we're going to come on back into down dog. Reaching back. And again, as you get into your dog, hug your elbows towards each other. Walk a little bit if it feels good, bending a knee at a time. And we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge here. So how you get there is up to you. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath you. Take your time here. Remember, knees can be bent. Knees can be straighter. Letting yourself fold forward, but using whatever support you need for your own back. Elbows above knees, hands on the chair, forearms on the chair. And breathe. Full deep breaths now. Really come into your breath, expanding your rib cage in all directions when you breathe in. Feeling soft all around your eyes, all around your mouth. And then we'll bring our hands back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up. Inhaling the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Bend the knees as you come. It takes it out of your back. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back again. That nice long spine. And we'll step the left foot back this time to come into lunge. Again, whatever you want to use underneath your hands. Draw your shoulders down. Inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, once you get into dog, adjust however you need, right? So if you need your dog to be a little longer and you need to walk your feet a little farther away or closer in, do. Elbows hug in. And then on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. Really engaging that belly. Feel your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. You can bend your elbows. Let yourself come a little more into the arms, into your biceps, into your shoulders. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our left foot forward from here to find our lunge. And remember, you can put your right knee down to get there. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend again. Feet right under us. Full deep breaths now again. Let your hands go where you can. If you're able to hold your elbows, do. If that's too much in your back, don't do it. Use whatever support you need. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Remember, knees can be bent, knees can be straighter. Letting the backs of the legs open up. And then we'll bring our hands back again to our hips. We'll press into our feet as we rise up. Inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline of the body here. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward, back to standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. And we're going to walk into down dog. So you place wherever you want your hands to be. Walk your feet back into your down dog. Walk your dog a little bit when you get there. And then once you come back to your full dog, let your next inhale bring you out towards your plank. Now you can add a back bend or not. That is up to you. You can stay in your plank. You can let yourself come down a little bit with the pelvis and through with the chest, coming towards an up dog. You don't need to do a back bend at all. You can do a sphinx on the floor if you'd rather, or cobra. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So take your time. Again, do what you need. If you need to bend both knees in your dog, do. And we're going to do that same thing. We're going to come out towards plank. Again, it will be optional to do a back bend. You can come to the floor. You can go onto your forearms and do a sphinx. You can come up into a little cobra or come through for an up dog. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Go right to your breath. Let your breaths be as long and deep, both inhales and exhales, as you can. See if you can feel the weight of your head. One more full deep breath. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's inhale our hands right up through the midline here. And then just bend your elbows and let your hands just release right to the back of the top of your head. So your elbows are reaching up a little bit. Hug your elbows in if you can, just a little bit. And then reach the arms on back along overhead here now. And as you exhale, let them stay right together as they come down. But reach up through the top of your head as you come into your mountain pose. Feel that sense of space in the spine. Feel your tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. Remember, you don't want to curl your tailbone forward. Tuck your tailbone. You want to feel that sense of a little bit of curve in your low back. Equal between your feet. Balanced between the front and the back of your body. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us. And shake out a little bit. Move around. Wiggle around. Whatever you need to do. We're going to come into some warrior poses. So if you're using your chair, turn it on around. Otherwise, have your blocks handy here at the front of your mat, okay? And we'll step our right foot back and come on into warrior two. So lining up our heels and getting yourself really aligned with that front knee. Let it be easy, all right? Bring your hands to your heart for a second and be aware. Think about getting your shoulders over your hips, right? So your hip pointer bones are kind of pointed towards a little bit of an angle, right? You're not open all the way to the side in warrior two. There's this kind of action of where your hip pointer bones are looking. See if you can get your shoulders right over your hip pointer bones. And then bring your hands to your heart. And that way you can feel when you inhale your hands up through the midline of the body, all the way up to the top, and then you open them and you reach your right arm back, there's a little bit of a twist that happens when you lower your arms and look down right over the top of your left hand. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Let your shoulders soften down. Enjoy feeling the breath easily coming in and going out. Looking right out over the top of that left hand. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale. Reach up towards the sky with that left hand. Reverse warrior. Now feel your right hand on your right leg behind you there. Maybe even slide it down a little bit more. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. Whether you put your right hand or forearm on your thigh, above your knee there. Maybe you want to go lower and put your left hand, forearm on your knee or above your knee. It depends on you. And then sliding that right arm on up into line if your shoulder lets you with the right side of the body. If it doesn't feel good, keep the arm straight up or keep the hand down on your hip. One more breath here. And we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other as we come. And then bring your hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel, kind of adjust the width of your stance. Let your arms come straight on out from your shoulders. And then bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a hug for a second. Let your elbows really melt down. See if you can kind of give a little massage right here with your left hand that's on top. Kind of just press down into that tightness you might feel right there at the top of your shoulder blade. And then release the arms on down. We're going to bend the knees and come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. You know, grab your blocks if you need your blocks. So if you need blocks in front of you to get yourself more comfortable in this pose, adjust your stance. Feet can be as wide apart as you want. You want them at least a little wider than your shoulders. And you can bend a knee at a time if that feels good. If it bothers your knees, don't do it. If it feels good to bend a knee and come a little more into your inner thighs, do. Good, and then come back to center with your hips. And now, see if you can turn your heels forward. Your toes are turning out a little bit, which is a different story in the hips, right? So now you're going to bend your right knee, leave your left leg straight. Let the knee come out over the right foot there. And then come back to center and go the other way. Don't bend too deep where it bothers your knees, right? So take your time. You can go back and forth a little bit. If anybody wants to go lower, you can go lower. You can even, when you bend one knee, if you bend the left knee, you can lift your right foot off the floor and be on your right heel. You can shift your hips down towards the ground if you want, so that you come even deeper into your hips, into your legs. So take your time, move back and forth, how far you want to go. And then come on back to center, and let's turn our toes back forward again so we're more parallel with our feet. And set up to be with your breath here, whatever's comfortable for you. Using blocks underneath your hands, your forearms, your head, right? Or letting yourself just feel the hands come back between your feet, letting your head hang if that's easy for you. Or hold your ankles. Feel full deep breaths. Letting go of everything you don't need to tense up or to use in order to stand here. So really let go through your upper body, through your face, your jaw. Even imagine relaxing your throat. One more breath. And to come up, walk your way back forward, and then you decide if you need to bring your feet together more, using your hands to help you as you need, as you come on up. Bringing those feet on together. Move around a little bit here. And we're going to go the other side. So we're going to step forward with the right foot this time. And as you do, take your time, get your heels lined up. Get yourself comfortable in that back foot, remember. And the front foot is parallel to the long edge of your mat. Make sure you're not turning your toes in, which puts your knee at a really hard place to be. So really get comfortable there. And then, again, as you bring your hands to your heart, let this left shoulder come a little forward so you feel your shoulders over your hip pointer bones, right? You're kind of facing a little bit. You're not facing directly forward. You're facing a little bit to the side. And then we'll inhale the hands right up through the midline of the body. And as you open the arms and lower them, then that left arm comes back. There's that little twist as you look out over the top of your right hand. Imagine you're sending sparks out through both sets of fingertips. So there is energy all the way out through your fingertips. But your arms are like coming out of your back. So you're not feeling tense in the top of your shoulders. You're just feeling that energy, that those muscles that wrap around underneath your arms are what's holding them there. We're going to turn the right palm up. Let your left hand touch your leg back there. Slide that left hand down as much as you want to give you support for your reverse warrior. And on your next exhale, come into that side angle. So again, it can be your right hand right above your knee. You don't have to go far. Try not to collapse into the underside of the body. Keep length. And then you can add that top arm or not, right? You can always keep the hand down. You can keep the hand on your hip. You can let yourself bring the arm straight up instead of in line with the body. And just enjoy. Feel that outer right hip drawing back a little bit. That right knee is lined up. Good. One more breath. Now we're going to come on back to Warrior Two. Press the feet away from each other, bringing your gaze right out over the top of that right hand. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel, and we're going to come on forward. So again, if you need your blocks, grab your blocks. And see if you can walk your hands way out in front of you, okay? Like you're doing down dog. And take your time here now. Let the hands be maybe a little bit wider than you do in your dog. Elbows hug towards each other, so you feel that sense of like you're holding a beach ball between your elbows. And then come on out like you're going to do a plank. You don't have to go any further. You can just shift a little bit, or you can shift all the way to where you get yourself all the way out like you are going to do a push-up with your feet really wide. And you can do a little push-up if you want. And then we'll walk back, coming on back to the heels down and letting yourself lengthen long. Once you get here, let's walk our hands towards our right. So bring your hands as close towards your foot as you want. You can hold the outside of your ankle if you want. And then see if you can bring your right hand on up to your right hip. Take a breath or two here. And then bring your hand on down. We're going to switch and walk over to the left. Again, you might be in front of your foot on a block. You may go all the way over to hold on to the outside of your left ankle. Left hand comes on up to the hip. And just stay here for a breath or two. And then we'll make our way back into center again. And set up for staying with your breath here, whether it's bringing your hands back between your feet, kind of the line that would be if you drew a line there in front of your toes across in front of you. Your fingers might be on that same line. Elbows hug towards each other. Shoulders draw away from your ears. And see if you can imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. Feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. Inner thighs melt their way behind you. And then feel those breaths evening out your inhales and exhales as much as you can. And one more breath here. We're going to walk our hands out if they're not already and take our time to come up. So letting, again, your hands give you some help, letting the feet come however you need before you rise up. And if you're dizzy at all, stay wide a little bit if you need to. Walk around a little bit. And we're going to come into either turning our chair the other way, all right, or having your blocks to the highest height here now, right underneath you, because we're going to come into a lunge. Stepping left foot forward, right foot back. Getting our hands right underneath so that we can really get into the lunge quite easily. So we have left foot forward and right foot back. And then from here, we're going to come into straightening that left knee out, lowering the right heel down. It comes in a little bit, remember, for pyramid pose. So the foot's fully on the floor, that back foot's fully on the floor. Now look back at it. Make sure you're not rolling to the inside of that foot. Think about the whole foot being on the floor. Arches are lifting up on both feet. And then bring your gaze on back to your left foot there, right underneath you. It doesn't matter how far back your right foot is. Both legs are straight. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. And now, just to check ourselves out, we'll bring our left hand up onto our low back. Turn your palm up for a second. Try to make sure you're level there. Then see if you can just turn to look to the left, coming into revolved triangle. Now, you can put the palm down onto your low back and roll that left shoulder up more if you want. One more breath. Good, and then release. Let your hand come on back down. We're going to bend that front knee, find lunge, and then all we're going to do is switch to the other side. So we're going to bring the right foot forward now, left foot back. Find your lunge first. And now, when you start to straighten the front leg and lower that left heel down, you got to adjust the length of your stance to where you can get that heel down. Look back at your left foot. Okay, it's turned out maybe 20 to 30 degrees. But remember, you want your whole foot on the floor. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Think of your arches lifting up. And then look back down at your right foot and make sure that you're not rolling to the outside of that foot, which is pretty easy to do. You can try lifting all your toes up, which also helps. Very hard to do kind of on the back foot, though, most of the time. And then we'll lengthen out through the spine here. Take one more breath. Now we're going to bring our right hand up. We're going to put it palm up for a second. Check if you can tell there whether you're even in your hips, right? And then once you roll the shoulder up and you put your palm down, you can let yourself find that twist in the middle of the back. Huge stretch for the outside of that right leg, yeah? So feel the feet in the floor. Draw upward with your thighs. Lengthen out through the top of your head. One more breath. Revolve triangle pose. And then we'll go ahead and bring our hand back down. Let's step forward. Get our feet under us. Separate our feet towards the outside edges of our mat. And now from here, you can either release your elbows above your knees. That might be as much of a squat as you want to do. Let yourself release there. Release your hips and your back a little bit. If any of you want to come down into a squat, you can either come down with your feet wide, turn your toes out more if you want, and come down more into a squat, or not, right? This is not for everybody's knees. Some of you may want to try coming down with your feet more parallel. I mean, a lot of people are built so their heels will come right down to the floor. So if that works for you, do it. Don't put any kind of stress in your knees or your hips. Let it feel like a relief, right? Good. And then we're going to slowly make our way back up to standing, however you can do that. Get your feet right underneath you. We're going to rise on up to let our arms come out beside us. Turn our palms forward. Let yourself reach down through your fingertips. See if you can bend your knees just a little bit. Make sure you're not locking your knees. Press your feet down into the floor. And then on your next exhale, let your hands gently come right to meet there in front of your chest, right where it feels comfortable. And find your mountain pose. That quiet strength. Simply standing. Maybe even just imagine you're standing right out in the middle of a big, open, empty field. So there's a lot of space around you. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Move around however you need to. We are going to bring our mats in here to a wall. So, yeah, Ellen, you're good there. Nancy, you're there. You too. Everybody else is good? Good. And let's come on in to working a little bit on half moon pose. Now, half moon, I gotta remember to clean that, is not everybody's favorite pose, right? So you don't have to use the wall for your foot behind you. If I think we have room enough in here. If you guys spread out a little bit, anybody who wants to use a wall like this for half moon pose with their back to the wall can. If you want to go a little bit further, all of you in here have been doing yoga for quite some time, most all of you, then you can step your left foot back to the wall, turn your toes away from the floor a little bit, and let yourself practice your half moon with your back foot to the wall instead of your whole body back into the wall. So you got to find, and those of you at home, I mean, you can do this at the kitchen counter behind you very easily. So find what feels good for you, the whole back to the wall or just the foot. And make sure the leg you're standing on. So get your foot parallel to the wall, Margaret. So the foot you're standing on is going to be parallel to the wall when you're, yeah. And then those of us who are doing back foot to the wall, take your time. You've got yourself with that foot you're standing on, toes are facing forward, right? And then you can play a little bit if you want with bringing yourself into looking to the side. That is up to you. Be mindful there. That foot you're standing on, that's the hand that stays down. It's the other hand when you're doing half moon that comes up. And then when you're ready, you'll just switch and go to the other leg. So you know if this is not good for your hips, don't do it. Stay in Warrior 3 with the toes facing down and the foot to the wall. That's a really good pose right there. If your hips bother you, don't come into the toes coming away from the floor. That turns your hip out, right? Whether you want to shift and have that hand, same foot you're standing on, that hand come up or not is up to you. Use your back to the wall if you'd rather. Take your time. That foot you're standing on, remember, toes are facing directly forward. Don't turn your toes in. Good. And then when you're ready, let yourself release. Come on down. And from here, we're going to go right back to the wall with our backs. So let yourself bring yourself back into the wall. Walk your feet out just a little bit. We're not going to go too much into quads yet. Just let your knees bend a little bit. Let your back release. And then send your hips a little forward. Bring your hands back here and clasp your hands right here where they touch, however long your arms are. Kind of depends on where your hands come, right? So let the elbows be soft. Just let yourself release there. And then think about sending your hips a little more forward, right? Back of the head is into the wall. See if you can straighten your legs out and let yourself release here across your chest. And if that's too much, come back with your hips. Put your feet closer to the wall, right? So that when you straighten out, you don't feel the sense of any kind of discomfort in your low back. Belly is lifting, opening across the chest. Some of you might want to walk further out because it feels really good. You don't feel this pressure, this discomfort in your low back. So you have to find what works for you. The wall is being supported by your head is being supported by the wall. You can even look up a little bit if it feels good. I mean, some of you may want to rise your arms up and bring your hands back so the hands to touch the wall. It's up to you. And if you want to release head off the wall, that's the last big thing there. Engaging the belly so that you're feeling no sense of discomfort in your low back. Good. So finish off. Shift your hips back to the wall. Bend your knees a little more now. Look at your feet. Make sure they're even, and you can bend your knees. Your knees aren't going out beyond your toes. Feel your quads. Feel the inner thighs melting down. And then come on forward. Maybe your hands above your knees. Maybe your elbows. So if it feels okay to go down to your elbows, do. Which brings a tilt, right? Once you go down like this, then your sit bones aim more back towards the wall if you go lower, right? So just take your time. We're going to add a little twist. So think about bringing your right arm across to the outside of your left knee. And then you can either just put your left hand up on the wall. There's a good twist there. Some of you may actually want to bring yourself down lower and put your right elbow above your left knee and then bring your left hand into meet and prayer hands. So either twist, staying up, going lower, don't force it. Feel the right sit bone pressing into the wall. And then come on back into center. Take a little break there. And we're going to go to the other side. So again, it can be arm draping over to the outside of the right knee. Maybe you can bring your right hand to the wall, press your left sit bone into the wall. Or maybe you want to bend that elbow more, bring your hands into prayer hands. Press that left hip into the wall so that you're really feeling equal in your sit bones there into the wall. Good. We're going to come on back into center. Take a breath here. And then we'll press ourselves all the way on back up. We're going to turn around and face the wall. And we're going to come onto our forearms. So let yourself clasp your hand. Send your pinky finger out. You've got the outside edge of your hand with all that power into the wall. Walk out to find a forearm plank, right? So that your elbows are right forward of your shoulders. Heels are on the ground. And don't shift your hips back. Make sure you're in a straight line, right? So you don't want to be shifting back with your hips right now. You want to let yourself be straight. And when you inhale, let the heels rise up off the floor. When you exhale, let them come back down. So inhaling, moving through here, through the shoulders and through the feet a little bit. Inhales rise you up. Exhales bring you down. Good. And then finish off. Let yourself come on back down. And you can stay right here, hugging your elbows towards each other. Let yourself imagine your heart melting towards the wall a little more. Or you can shift your hips back now. Slide your arms down and come more towards a dolphin pose. More towards a 90-degree angle at your hips. That is so not for everybody's shoulders. So don't do it. If it hurts your shoulders at all, don't do it. Take your time. Good. Nice. You can stay in that forearm plank, you know. And then let yourself walk on back to the wall. Good. We're going to turn around and we're going to come down onto our mats on the floor. So we're going to sit. So if you know sitting would feel much better with a blanket underneath you, grab a blanket. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. Let yourself be easy. Think about just a basic seated forward bend here if you can. So if you're on a blanket and if you know that you tend to have tightness in your low back and in the backs of your legs, kind of come to the edge of a blanket so you're up high and see if that helps you. The other thing you can do is bend your knees, either putting a rolled blanket or blocks underneath your knees, and then think about coming forward from your low back, right? So that there's this action of coming forward here, not coming forward here, right? So just be easy. Let yourself just release forward where you can be. You can reach to your legs. You can reach to your toes. You can put your hands on the floor. And again, just take your time. Let it feel really good. Toes facing up towards the ceiling. Think about your inner thighs melting down towards the ground. And then we'll come on back up. Bring your hands behind you. Now, you can turn your fingertips out so that your hands are turned out to about 45 degrees. Or you can turn your fingers forward so that you have your fingers facing towards your feet, right? That's up to you because we're going to bend our knees and think about just opening our chest here. So depending on your shoulders, turn your hands the way you choose. Let yourself imagine there's a string attached to your sternum, drawing your chest up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. And that might be enough. If you do want to lift up your hips, you can come up into four-footed table. Let yourself come a little bit more obviously into your arms and your shoulders. If it hurts, don't do it. If you're up there and you're like, oh gosh, no, don't do it. Be mindful. Let yourself, if you're in that four-footed table, keep the hips as much in line as you can with your knees. And then we're going to release and come on back down. And we're going to stretch our right leg out beside us here. And it depends on your knees and hips. If you can draw your left foot in, so that the heel is kind of right here in the front of the middle of your body. Do it. Now, not everybody's foot wants to do that. Not everybody's knee or hip wants to. You can always put a block underneath it, have the foot further out. If it really bothers your knee, stretch the leg out. Because all we're going to do is a little side stretch. We're going to slide our right hand down and let ourselves reach as far down towards your ankle or your foot as you can. Let yourself release. Now you're kind of folding over that leg. And then bring your left arm up. See if you can put your left hand up behind your head a little bit. And that's pretty deep side stretch right there. If you want to add more, you can add more. You can straighten your arm out longer. You can reach your left hand towards your right foot. Even letting that left sit bone come off the floor is fine. And then we're going to release and come on back up to the top. And we're just going to switch legs. So again, this leg comes out as far as feels good. The right leg comes in. Again, if the heel can come to the inside, right of the middle of the body there, do it. If you're like, no, that's not good, adjust. Do whatever you feel like doing here. Stretch your left hand on down towards your shin or your ankle or your foot. Again, it's like you're folding over that leg a little bit. And then you decide. As you start to bring that right hand up, if you can put it behind your head, do. Or if it needs to be like hand on your shoulder, right? Or keep your hand on your ribs. Just let it feel good to you so you can find that openness through the right side of the body. And you can add the arm if you want. If you add the arm long or reach your hand towards your foot, still a really deep side stretch, no matter how you look at it. Good. And then we're going to slowly bring ourselves on back up. Bring the soles of the feet together here in front of you into Baddha Konasana. Now, they can be way out. You can have more like a diamond shape here in that space you created with your legs, or you can bring your feet in closer, heels in towards you. That is up to you and your hips, but you want to be able to sit up tall. So whether when you sit up tall, you need to adjust your feet or not, you can put your hands behind you if you have a really hard time. You can use your hands on the floor behind you to help you, almost like you're going to lift yourself up, right? And now whether you come forward or not, it's totally up to you and your hips. It's how you're built, right? If it feels really releasing and good, you can imagine the knees reaching away from the midline and let yourself come on forward with a nice long back now. So think about keeping that back lengthened. Good. Come in to be with your breath. Really feeling your breath easily in and out. Letting yourself feel released in your inner thighs and your hips and your back. Good. One more breath. And we're going to slowly make our way up. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So however you need to get there, let yourself come on down, come on around, and bring yourself down. Bring your knees on into your chest. Let yourself release the knees side to side a little bit. And then bring the feet on down to the floor. And let's cross our right thigh over our left, right? So it's thigh over thigh. Your knees are bent. Let your feet just stay there for a second. And then go ahead and bring the knees in towards your chest. Flex through both your feet. Now you can hold wherever you want. You can hold either knee, the top right knee or the bottom left knee, or you can hold like lower your shins so the feet separate more. You can even reach down and get your ankles or your feet if that feels good. That's a really, depending on how you're built in your hips, a good thing or not so good, right? So take your time. Just let yourself release here in the hips. And then bring the left foot on back down to the floor. Bring your right knee now, uncross, bring your right knee to your chest and lengthen your left leg long. And we're going to bring our left hand over to that right knee and stretch our right arm out beside us on the floor and just start to draw the knee over to the left. Now, how far you go with the knee over into this twist, totally up to you. You can go a little bit, keeping your right hip down towards the ground. You can release farther over. Let yourself turn to look towards your right if you like adding that upper body there. Adding your neck, finding a little more release in your neck. One more breath here. And then bring that right knee back into center and hold behind your right thigh and send your right foot up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. Right? And you can let the thigh slide a little towards the outside of the ribs and see about coming into a little bit straighter leg. If that means obviously you have to let the leg come away from you, do. Some of you may actually want to start to walk your hands towards your calf, draw your leg in towards you a little bit. Don't force it, just let it feel good. Just opening up through the back of the right leg there. Keep flexing your left foot. Feel your left heel on the floor. Good, and then we'll bend the right knee again. Let yourself bring the knee in towards the chest with the knee bent. And then let's put the right foot down on the floor and lift your left leg up to cross your left thigh over your right. So now you're crossing left thigh on top of right. And then again, see as you can draw your knees in towards you. Flex both your feet. And there's a nice hip release right there. You can hold wherever you want. Hold your knees. Slide your hands to your shins, your ankles, or your feet. Again, this has to do with how you're built in your hips, but just let it happen. Let that release happen in the left hip there. Keep the feet flexing, which keeps you engaged up into your hips as well. Good. One more breath here. And then go ahead, lower that right foot to the floor, uncross, bring your left knee in towards your chest, and stretch your right leg down long on the floor. Flexing through both feet here. And now right hand comes across to your left knee. Bring your left arm out beside you. We're going to come across the body into a twist. Now it can be a little tiny, just barely bringing that knee across. Or you can release farther with that left hip off the floor and turn your head to the left if you choose. So go as deeply into that twist or as less deep into that twist as you choose. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly bring the knee on back in and let yourself hold behind your left thigh and think about putting a footprint up on the ceiling so the foot goes up. And you can slide a little bit, that thigh coming a little towards the outside of your ribs, and then think of coming into that straighter leg. And you can let the leg come away from you more. Maybe you're barely getting to the leg. That's fine. If some of you want to walk the leg closer toward you by going up your leg a little with your hands, you can. So you find where you can be there to release the back of your leg. Now feel your right heel on the floor. Draw the right heel back towards you so you're engaged in that long standing leg as well. Pretend you're standing on it and the leg's right in front of you. Good. One more breath here. And then bend the knee. Bring the knee on back in towards the chest. Let's bring your right knee on in as well. And then let your knees come side to side. If you'd rather circle your knees, you can let the knees make little circles. If that feels even better to release your back and your hips. You got to find what works for you. Good. And then bring the feet on down to the floor. And whether you would prefer to do a supported bridge pose with your block underneath you, or maybe you'd like to bring your arms alongside you, bend your elbows to 90 degrees, press up into your bridge pose. That's up to you. Get a block if you'd rather. Rest on the block. Once you come up into bridge, if you know that your feet don't feel quite right, you can come down and just adjust how far your feet are. So how far they are from the buttocks can make a really big difference in how your bridge pose feels. Remember, you don't want to feel bridge pose in your back. You'll feel your thighs. You'll feel that lengthening feeling in the front and the back of the body. You can play a little bit with staying there, or you can come down anytime you choose. You know that. You can stay on the block and be supported and let it feel really releasing for your back. Blocks can be any height if you're using those blocks. The lowest, the middle, the highest is pretty high. If you decide to do that, just be mindful. Good. And then when you do make your way down from bridge pose, bring your knees into your chest a little bit there. Let your back release. Maybe you want to do a little happy baby pose, or maybe it sounds like a good idea to do something else. Listen to your body. Let your body tell you right now what sounds good. Whether you need to let yourself come into another pose or move in any other way. Starting to get the lights here in the studio, so I'll be walking around so that I can bring people anything you might need to help you release. Get some lights as well, so take your time. If you're ready for a bolster, I'll kind of look for a sign. See one. So just be mindful of getting whatever you need if you're at home, whatever you need to be comfortable here. So if a bolster, or if you don't have bolsters at home, you can always roll blankets up to put under your knees. Pillows, you might have some sort of a pillow at home that would work. That might not be right. Perfect. So just let yourself do whatever you need to really be able to release now into your breath. Accepting your breaths in and out. When your mind wanders off, if it's into something that part of your body maybe that's not comfortable, then go ahead and adjust how you need so that you won't be distracted by that. But instead, you can just keep with your own breath, refocusing back to the breath whenever your mind wanders. And as the body starts to release, your brain will follow. You just have to keep coming back easily to the wave of your own breath. Giving yourself these few minutes, allowing yourself to completely and fully relax. ground, the firmness of the floor underneath you again, physically supporting you. Letting your breaths gradually deepen and lengthen, feeling that sense of energy being renewed in the body as you come back to feeling those deeper breaths. And letting your fingers and your toes maybe feel like wiggling and moving to lead you back. So your hands and your feet, you might even want to move through your wrists, your ankles, or let your head roll side to side. Just come back into moving however feels good to you. Moving up into your arms and your legs and letting the body stretch or drawing your knees in if that feels better to your back. Take your time. You can stay on your back. You can roll to either your right or your left side anytime, giving the body and the brain a little time to acclimate again. Take your time to just enjoy being supported by the ground a little bit longer. And when you do feel ready to rise up, just be easy about it. Let yourself feel comfortable in the way you're sitting for your hips, and use whatever you need to support you. Lengthen up through the top of your head so you find all that space in your spine and shoulders softening down. Letting your hands turn, if you can, palms upward, resting the backs of the hands wherever feels comfortable for you, and just staying for a couple of breaths there. Enjoy. Imagine for 2 or 3 breaths that you're breathing in and out through your heart. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you all for being here.